He hasn't been to a couple meetings straight, so I
Yeah.
was just,
I guess he gets migraines and stuff, so I don't know if that's what his problem was.
yeah.
Good evening and welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting of, okay, no.
Okay.
Okay, March 4th, 2024 is the Gala Meeting Room. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxboro Cable Access. And I know we're having some people Zoom in, so if anybody wants to speak, please use the microphones. At this time, I'll officially open the public meeting. Do we have any comments? All right, if not, we want to do minutes?
We have minutes of February 12, 2024. The items were 446 South Street, request for determination. Then we continued the public hearing for 46 Ridge Road. And then we also had a small discussion about River Ridge subdivision, the completion of the roads and the other items that had to be removed. Other than that, these minutes are complete, and I would recommend that we approve them.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? No one is zooming in on the commission, correct?
No, Jim is at another meeting. He said he'll try to join later if he can,
Okay,
but
all right, if it was Zoom, we had to
have to
do the roll call, that's all.
yeah.
Just
No,
trying
should be
to
fine.
stick by the rules and regulations. Being 7:05 PM, we have a public hearing.
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public hearing on Monday, March 4th, 2024 at 7:05 PM in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom on a notice of intent filed by FedCap, Inc. for the construction of approximately 389 feet of roadway with associated drainage, water, gas, and electric to serve 4 single-family homes on Ridge Road, Assessors Map 35, Parcels 6 and 7. Portions of the proposed work lie within 100 feet of a resource area. This application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office at Town Hall. This notice can also be found on the Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association website.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you need it?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Mr. Gray.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Cameron Gray. I'm here tonight on behalf of our client to discuss the proposed 4-lot subdivision off of Ridge Road. So the property consists of 2 parcels of land totaling 7.13 acres. It's located on the northeasterly side of Ridge Road and abuts the Ponset Reservoir. The parcels are located approximately a mile from the Westnut Street and directly across from 46 Ridge Road. So 46 Ridge Road is located right here. So the site lies on a peninsula and is currently undeveloped and consists of a wooded area. When you're looking at the site from Ridge Road, it slopes up significantly to the central portion of the site before sloping down on all sides down to the Ponset Reservoir and Ridge Road. The wetland resources on the site include bordering vegetated wetlands, inland bank, and bordering land subject to flooding. The resource areas have been certified by the Commission through an ORAD. So we are proposing 389 feet of new roadway off of Ridge Road to service these 4 proposed lots. The roadway will consist of a standard 50-foot wide layout with a 20-foot wide roadway and a 5-foot wide sidewalk located to the south of the roadway. The end of the roadway will consist of a paved cul-de-sac, that has a radius of 50 feet. The homes will be serviced by municipal water, and they'll also be serviced by an on-site septic system at each lot. So we've gone in there already and conducted soil evaluations throughout the site to ensure that each lot is sustainable for an on-site septic system. All utilities will be installed underground per the local regulations. And this subdivision has been designed in accordance with the most recent subdivision Foxboro regulations. The stormwater management system will consist of a conventional catch basin and drain manhole system. They'll capture the runoff from all the proposed roadway and direct into 2 separate stormwater basins. So we utilized the existing topography on this site to place these 2 basins. So this basin up here located in the westerly portion of the site, this is an existing gully here. So we essentially just dammed it up to make this basin. And the basin located in the easterly portion of the site out back here, it's an existing low area, so we chose to utilize that low area. So due to the proposed topography of the roadway, so the roadway, it's got a slope up. It goes in at about a 3% grade into a 8% grade before I have a high point about right here in the roadway. And it will then slope back towards the cul-de-sac. So I have a set of catch basins located at the mouth of the road here. And I have 3 catch basins within this cul-de-sac to capture the runoff. So this system has been designed to capture and infiltrate all runoff from all storms up to and including the 100-year storm. So these basins, I've over-designed them so that way they can handle the runoff up to the 100-year storm without discharging at all. They'll just be infiltration. So these basins are 4 feet deep, and that includes the 1 foot required freeboard. So we conducted soil evaluations also within the area of the proposed basins to confirm that the locations are suitable for drainage. Each of the basins will be located almost entirely within the 100-foot buffer zone. So I have the 100-foot buffer zone here in blue. I'll just follow it with my cursor. So you can see this basin at the front is located entirely within that 100-foot buffer zone. And the basin out back, for the most part, it's located entirely within the buffer zone also. There's a small portion that sits outside here. So all the runoff from the pavement will be pre-treated by deep sump catch basins before they are discharging to storm scepters. And then finally, they'll discharge to the stormwater basins. And each of these basins will contain a sediment forebay. So this allows me to meet the 44% TSS removal required since we're located within a critical area as well as an area with rapid infiltration. So for this site, we anticipated to be a balance with the roadway being a significant cut in the middle here and the back of the lots requiring fill. So stockpiling of material will be limited to area outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. So on the site plan, I have my SWEP plan, and I show the stockpiling materials. I show a big area on Lot 2. Erosion control for this project will consist of silt socks and silt sacks that will be installed prior to the start of construction, and they will remain in place until the project has been completed and ground cover has been reestablished. I think that covers everything for me. Thank you.
A quick question, what's the minimum number of lots for an open space development?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
There is no minimum number of lots. It's based on the size of the lots, 5 acres.
Okay, so this could be reduced down to an open space if,
If the
all right.
Did they ever consider that alternative?
Yes, yes. We looked at 3 alternatives. Excuse me. We looked at 3 alternatives. The first alternative was conventional subdivision, which you have to prove no matter what you do. So that's what this is. The next one was a kind of a private road subdivision where the roadway would remain private, and we would ask for a lesser roadway, no sidewalks, no curbing. It would smaller cul-de-sac which is less impervious. The planning board didn't seem too keen on that. And then the last one, we did look at a cluster, and our client wasn't interested in doing that.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
So Cameron, you said that you designated like where you're stockpiling on the plans. Can you point that out? Because I'm looking at the plans, I don't see it called out
Yeah.
on lot 2.
So if you turn to sheet 8,
I'm sorry. It's on
yeah, so I just have that big area kind of blocked out on lot 2, and just a note there saying that the storage of materials will have to be encircled with silt
the- Yep,
socks.
thank you. I did not go all the way to page 8. I didn't see it. Thanks.
No problem.
John?
Make a request, please, if you speak up a little bit.
Okay.
I just wanted to make a note that the property is within a zone 2, and I presume that, for instance, all the stormwater information that's going to get peer reviewed, all the criteria will be, reviewed by them, and it will pass, correct?
Yeah, so we still haven't received comments back from the town's consultant regarding the stormwater, but we did design this in accordance with the DEP regulations.
Okay, good.
I just don't understand stormwater stuff that well yet. Is there not places that are outside of the 100-foot buffer zone where those basins could be located?
So I mean, ideally, it's easier for us to put it down in these areas. I thought utilizing the existing topography would be ideal in terms of the existing low spot. I've figured water headers there already, and just kind of damming up that gully where I have water flowing to originally already.
Unfortunately, it's, water, we just usually seek the low spots on the site, and it allows us to capture the maximum amount of runoff. Sometimes we just can't, and so we can't infiltrate as much as we'd like to do. So we try to use the topography, as Cam pointed out here, and when you get a chance to go out to the site, which I hope you do, you'll come in and you'll look to the left, and you'll see that gully we're talking about. So we're trying to minimize earthwork by building like a dam at the end of that, just like a dam in a canyon. You always see dams in canyons because they're trying to use that topography. And then that area in the back, again, when you walk up there, you'll go over the top, and you'll see that big depression in the back there. So we're just trying to work with what's there and minimize activity within the 100-foot. And that's what it really does by working with the topography.
Thanks.
Does that save you any clearing of trees and things like that?
Yes, it does.
So you let,
Which question?
which,
What didn't you hear?
I asked if, does it reduce the clearing of trees and such?
Yes.
Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the audience? Come up and use the mic, please.
Anybody else? Good evening. Gentlemen, ladies, engineers,
We're gentlemen, too.
and guests. Neil Kaiser, I live at 11 Ridge Road, and I do have some questions.
I hope we can answer them.
I hope so. Some of these, I don't know if some of the questions really pertain to you. They might pertain to the planning board. I'm not sure. Oop, sorry. The main question that I have When you received the plans for this area, for the development, how much meetings, or how much time have you spent looking at the different things in the public meetings or whatever before they cleared the land? Was there any meetings before that where you may have walked the property?
Yes. Yes, we did. They came in first, as I mentioned, for a wetlands delineation, identifying all of the wetlands on the property. We walked the property at that time. So we were familiar with the property.
Okay. Was there anything that you found that stood out to you as far as the growth and the different animals or anything like that?
When I was there, I did not see any animals.
Nothing?
Probably scare them away, but no.
Have you walked it since? Has anybody on the board walked it since the property has been cleared?
I have not been out
Nobody?
myself. I don't know.
Not yet?
Not yet.
No,
I've driven by.
you've been there? Good,
Yes.
thank you. The area here is pretty high, and I'm curious about the grade of the road. And I'm pretty sure there are limits as far as the grade going in or out of a piece of property. And I'm not sure of what it really is. I want to say 6%, 6 degrees. Maybe I'm saying it wrong.
Percent is right.
And I'm curious what the result is going to be here and how much area. I heard something earlier as far as soil and removal. And I'm curious how much will be removed out of this piece of land.
Well, the road is not our purview, it's a planning
At the
board.
planning board.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the
Yes.
road is 100 feet away from, more than 100 feet away from the wetlands.
I'm sorry?
The road is more than 100 feet away from the wetlands or the Neponset Reservoir. So, for instance, it's not in conservation jurisdiction.
Okay. That's for the planning board. Thank you. Are you, or again, is the planning board issue drainage? Is that,
Yes.
that is something you would be concerned about?
We are concerned, they've mentioned where they're putting the stormwater drainage locations.
That was going to
So-
be one of my questions.
Yes, they've been outlined on the plans.
Yes, no, I've looked at it and I understand.
Okay.
My questions on those are not the location, but the fact that there's a drainage coming ditches, and there's what, I think 3, if I counted right, 1, 2. And I thought there was the third one up here.
They're not ditches, they're planned retention areas.
Now, well, the retention areas are different. Those are those 2 little areas that look like little ponds.
Okay,
Okay, and that's another question I have about that in a few minutes. But what I'm concerned about is the drainage from the middle of the cul-de-sac shows going out to the lake in these different locations. And if you look at the top, right in the middle, in the top left, there's one drain. Over on the right, on the bottom right corner, there's another drain. And if I read it right on the map, there is a drain going out by that first cul-de-sac, drainage area, the ditch.
I think you're looking at property lines, Neil.
That's why I'm asking. I'm just trying to I know that there's some red lines and different lines that are
Yes,
here, and I
yes.
understand that.
Okay, those I do believe are property lines.
Okay. What I'm looking at is if you see the red line, which is drainage, coming from the drains on the roadway, and the others going to the detention areas, as it's been explained as what they are. around the reservoir, there's a number of drains off of all the different streets. And some of the issues are what is going into the lake. So I'm curious as to why more drains would be put into the reservoir.
I don't think any drains from this are going directly into the reservoir.
If you look at the top, can I borrow the mouse? Is that possible? Doing this right or wrong? We're
doing it right.
over here.
Maybe his point is there's nothing.
All right, I'm not gonna do it right. Let me just show you. To me, that's a drain.
I think
This
those,
is another one.
the,
So it's coming from the roadway, which is an access area to the different areas here. So there's one there, and I had thought there was another one up here, but I think I'm wrong. I think that's just a.
Do you want us to go over this again?
what's that?
Do you want me to answer this?
Coming through and going here.
Okay.
So that's one of my issues where
Okay.
there's enough drainage going into the reservoir right now.
So those aren't drains. Those are property boundary markers. That's what they're basically showing as designation for the establishment of the lot properties. So those markers that you're showing there that are close to the edge of the reservoir, those are boundary markers as if somebody's trying to establish their property.
We would not allow drainage to go direct.
Is this
That's a boundary marker. That's a,
line, this red line is a property line?
yes.
Yes.
What are these dotted lines here?
Those dashed lines are probably zoning lines off setbacks for the planning board. That's my guess.
Yes, good guess.
Okay. Is that a drain?
No.
No.
I show it coming to a drain.
That's not a drain.
So that tells me that there's a line going out to the reservoir.
We would not allow drainage going directly into the reservoir, Neil.
Thank you. That's, I mean, that was a concern that I had, because there's been a lot of drains from the different roads around the reservoir.
No,
and
that
it's
would
been
not
a-
be allowed.
It's been a complaint,
Nice lot.
you know.
That wouldn't be allowed anyway, being within a zone 2. You have to have pre-treatment before you go to, or.
Zone
basically-
2 from the town water?
What's that?
Zone 2 you're talking about from the town pumps, town water?
I'm saying zone 2 is an overlay district. It's for the interim wellhead protection areas. That's what this,
Right.
this whole entire property is within that area. There are
Okay.
requirements, basically, that you basically need to have special treatment.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my next question, around the two pits that you have there for drainage, it was mentioned that they were detention ponds. Detention tells me that it's just holding the water, and then when it's full, it's going to release it. So it's got to go somewhere. What my concern is that instead of detention, it should be retention. So it stays in that area. It doesn't go out into the reservoir, or out into the other property around it.
I'm going to add a third one to that and say that it's infiltration basins. And basically what's happening here is the water's going to that, it's discharging to that location. It's sitting there temporarily and being allowed to infiltrate back into the ground,
Which is-
back into the
So
groundwater.
that- Okay, that's retention.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they'll be referred to as retention ditches now?
Temporarily, yeah.
Okay. My question to the board is the 100-foot buffer. Around the lake, there's all kinds of different issues with that. And I'm looking here and seeing the 100-foot buffer. One, two, the two homes that are built on the top top one on the very top and another next one to it on the right, abut that 100-foot buffer, the driveway or the building. So by definition, when you say 100-foot buffer, that's untouched?
No, it's not untouched, but it comes within our jurisdiction.
So
We have a
meaning-
25-foot no disturb. And then anything within 100-foot, they
Okay,
have
so
to
the
come,
25, the one that was labeled here, 25-foot is no, okay,
is no disturb.
okay. But the 100-foot buffer can be disturbed?
Yes.
It can be, and it can be permitted. So for
Sorry?
instance, it can be permitted. So anybody that wants to do any work within 100 feet of a resource area, for instance, this Neponset Reservoir, they have to file a permit with the Conservation Commission, which this applicant has done. And that's why they're in front of us tonight.
Okay. Some of the areas that I was going to, bring up had to do with any disturbance of those areas, and I guess that's a moot point. What I don't see on here, I see the leaching areas, but I don't see where the septic tank is going to be on any one of the 4 houses. I assume it's between the house and the leaching field. Can someone show us where those might be?
They're not shown on the plan. Mr. Buckley, do you have septic tank locations yet, or?
So all these houses and septic locations are approximate, so we'll be filing, to touch on his point, any work that has to go within the 100-foot buffer zone, we'll be filing these lots separately. But these are just approximate locations, so we've done our test pits here, but we haven't actually have a house we're gonna be putting in the ground out there and laid out our septic systems yet.
Okay, thank you.
Appears to be you got leaching trenches in the front of the houses.
Yeah, so I have the leaching trenches at the front of the houses to meet that 150-foot setback and the local requirements. So these locations are specifically to stay out of that 150-foot buffer.
Okay.
How
Are
big
you-
is the tank? Any idea how big they might be?
Neil, excuse me, ask the questions of me, please.
How big is the tank?
How big is the tank? I'm going to say 1,500.
Will they be above ground for the openings, to clean them and all that stuff? Will that be,
I'm not,
I think
raised
that's a
up
Board of
above
Health
ground?
that's
Any
a
idea?
Board of Health issue.
Yeah.
That's
sorry?
Board of Health issue. We do not control the septic systems.
Okay. You mentioned underground utilities. I assume they'll also be underground from the street to the homes?
I would assume that that's probably a good assumption.
And most of that work will be outside conservation's jurisdiction. Or actually, all of it, from what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Okay, all of the work will be outside our jurisdiction. We only,
Utility.
the utilities are away from the buffer zones. We have no control over them.
Oh, okay. Okay. I am concerned as far as the drainage off this road going down onto Ridge Road. And where's it gonna go from there? Who knows? I don't think I'd want to be near the homes here, especially for the Heinz and Magoo, I guess it is, in that area. And I know the road drains down the other way towards the lake. And there's another one there, Kennedy.
My suggestion is to go to the planning board meeting when they have this in front of them on their agenda and address your concerns then.
Okay. So the planning board is the place to go, huh?
For those questions, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Neil. Any other comments from the audience?
Am I able to get one of those plans?
What's that?
Am I able to get a plan?
Yes.
Yes.
You can have this one right here.
Can I ask a quick question?
Come up, use the mic, please.
Hello, I'm Matt McHugo. I live at 88 Ridge Road.
Okay.
I had a question. So I've been driving by and I noticed this work already in progress. So this is the first permit being cut right now?
They have come before us to delineate the wetlands, so
Yeah.
they know where everything is, so they can make their plans, yes.
But I
So,
noticed there's been some tree removal already?
yes, outside of the buffer area where they can put their test for the septic systems and the lots.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually, the town engineer has been out there to look at the project site, and they assess that the work that they've done so far doesn't trigger any necessary permits, other permits from the town, but he would have appreciated them contacting him prior to doing that, so.
All right, that was my only question.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Shall we continue?
Of course I do.
Oh, okay. Well, speak up, young man.
Mr. Buckley, question. On one of your, on page sheet 4, I noticed that you have going from the cul-de-sac, going downhill, 8% slope to a 3%. And I'm just wondering, is with that velocity, with the 2 catch basins at the bottom, are they going to be wide enough or designed, or are you going to have to double the catch basin grates to take that velocity of water when we get this 1-inch rainfalls, or, flash 2 inches in an hour that we've seen? Because, during construction, you're going to have a lot more debris out there. And then after, you're going to have the normal debris and everything else, neighborhoods deposit on the lawns and everything like that. So I was just wondering, that's one question. And if it needs additional, don't have the right words, capacity to catch that water that's ripping down the road, I'm just wondering if that's been taken into consideration. And the other thing is, I saw your planting plan for the basins. Now, the basin that's on the northerly side, the smaller one, has steeper slopes. I assume that's going to be blown in, mulch mix temporarily in the beginning, and then later on, it seems like you're going to come in with more of a restoration. I don't know why you said wetland plantings afterwards. I'm a little confused. Are you doing a temporary erosion control, stabilization, and then coming in later to do more in that particular basin because it's so steep?
So, Walt, are you done? All set?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking. So that's a good point, it's a good question, and we've already been asked it by the planning board. So we're gonna look at that again, and if we have to double up on to put a double catch basin down there with a double wide throat, we will. So And then the second question had to do with plantings there. And yes, in our draft SWIP, what we call for is, a temporary seed mix. Actually, no, we don't. Immediately upon construction, the outside of it is supposed to be planted with a MHD detention basin mix, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
Right? That's what it is. And then the interior, no, it shouldn't be a wetland mix. It should be a conservation mix. It's not a wetland mix. So you read it. Yeah, you're right. It's not a wet basin, it's a dry basin. So it shouldn't say wetland mix, it should say conservation mix. So we'll look at that too.
Yeah, that's on page 7, in the very fine print.
Oh.
Where they show the basins, how
Yeah.
they're constructed,
Okay, yeah.
and the elevations of the
Sides.
catch basins and the culverts going into them. So I thought that steepness, it's all sand. I mean, you're not going to want wetland
There's a-
species there.
Yeah, if you look at the stormwater report that Cam did, there's no water, there's no runoff. It's very minimal because it's so sandy. All the material there is sandy. We only get water on one test pit, so there's not a lot of runoff. But you're right, coming down that slope, we have to look at that again.
Yeah, because you have to put in a base coat while you're constructing the houses and everything.
Yep.
So you're going to have that extreme runoff.
Yeah, the good thing is the runoff, there's not gonna be a lot of runoff coming toward the road from the houses, just because of the topography of it. It's gonna be like Lawson Farm, that third phase, where everything is kind of low on that side. In this particular place, the road is hitting the high point and then dropping off in all directions. So these houses are gonna be, we're gonna be struggling to keep them up high enough to not be sitting down below the road. So we're not gonna get a lot of runoff from the houses. Plus, and again, we'll be talking about this for each individual lot, but each of these houses will have a roof runoff system. So all of the catch basins, all of the gutters for the roofs on any of these houses will be tied into a drain system on each of the lots. So, as Mr. Kaiser, pointed out, we don't want any runoff. We certainly don't want any runoff direct discharge from the roadway. The basins, as Cam went through, the basins capture every storm that we have to design for, 6.8 inches of rain in 24 hours without overflowing. So there's no runoff from the streets going into the reservoir. It's all going through that treatment train that Cam went through and then being infiltrated. And then the roof runoff, which is considered clean, that is in itself is still being infiltrated. We're not doing the full storm, we're just doing 2 inches, because that's what the regulations call for. But that's also more recharge, which is good for a Zone 2, because a Zone 2 is the recharge area for our well site. In this particular case, it's the one off of Pumping Station Road. Not Pumping Station Road, off of Chestnut Street,
Chestnut Street, yeah.
whatever that name of that road is. I should remember it, but. So we'll look at those things. Those are good points. And we're also waiting for comments from the town's peer reviewer.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
These basins, they're the ones that have the sumps down below that captures any, silt sand that washes off the street besides oils. I think based on that design, is that the one?
So I showed sediment 4 basin, all these basins.
He's talking about the catch basins.
Oh, the catch basins,
Yeah, you
I'm
guys
sorry.
have storm scepters, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I do deep sump catch basins with oil captures, and then it goes into a storm scepter before they're conveyed to these basins.
Okay.
How long are those good for? Like, do they hit a capacity at some point where they don't absorb oil anymore, or that kind of thing?
So I have in my stormwater report with the operation and maintenance plan, so I forget the exact depth, but we recommend that the client go in there with an orange peel bucket to pull out all the debris out of the catch basins to ensure they're functioning properly.
I think the DEP stormwater standards recommend three times a year, which the town does it maybe once every 2 years. So
So
but
that was
the
my next question.
real-
Does it fall on the homeowner, or is it the town that's got to do this?
While the client, whoever the developer is, he has to deal with it.
Okay.
But the reality is that's huge overkill. You don't need to do it 3 times a year. I mean, especially on a site like this where the soils, you're not going to get silt and stuff running off.
I was
mean,
just curious.
Yeah.
Didn't know.
But there is a maintenance program for them, for the whole system.
All right, anything else? Somebody want to make a motion to continue to, when's our next meeting, Diana?
March 18th?
Make a
March
motion,
18th or April 1st?
Might as well just do March 18th, and then we'll know. If we can get the comments back and get them answered, we'll come in, and if not, we'll give you plenty of time, plenty of notice. We're not going to spring it on you the last minute.
Okay.
make a motion to make continuance to March 18th for Ridge Road, DEP 157635.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we have a request for kayak stands. Shut this over to Rick. We'll discuss it. Good evening.
Good evening.
Could you identify yourself just for the record, please?
My name is Christine Eames, and I live at 16 Angela Drive in Foxboro. And my interest is to inquire if it's a possibility if kayak and canoe storage racks can be built for access. And where I kayak is Edwards Road, where they have put in parking spots, and I'm thinking that might be a location where that can be done. So I was asked to get as much information as I could about kayak, and I did send an email. I think
Yes.
it was all sent to you.
Yes.
And I did speak to the Sharon Recreation Department, who's in charge of the kayaks.
Oh, good.
And I also took pictures, which I sent to you.
Yes.
And I also found out the cost. And it is through the Recreation Department, not the town, that's in charge of it. So depending upon if you take the top rack, it is the least expensive. The middle rack, it'll get more expensive, and the bottom rack is the most expensive. So I also looked into who would build these racks, just as an informational point. And we did contact Foxboro High School, and their woodworking department would do a project for this, but it would not pay for the material. So it would be on I don't know who, the people that requested it. I also got in touch with Southeast Votech School, and I did speak to Jennifer Hall, who's the vocational programs director, and she sounded interested, but had to talk to the head of that department at that school to see if it's a project that they would take on. So as of today, she still hasn't got back to me, but I did look on their website, and I found out that they have so many requests that it is closed at this time to take on this project.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure what the time frame is, or if we could get on a list that, it might be at a different time, and maybe it's a possibility. So the other thing, too, was that when I talked to the town of Sharon, they suggested that we start slow, and that's how they did it. They built a rack or two, and then each year they added more because of the need for it. They sell out immediately, as soon as it's advertised, and first come, first serve. So I was wondering, is this something that the town would be interested in doing, and if we could do it?
Thank you for your interest in this, and we love having people use the reservoir. It's there to be used. One area I was thinking about that might be an alternative to.
Someplace online.
Okay. Renee, I'll get to you in a little bit. But Kirsty Point has a larger parking area, and it's an area that is cleared, and we have an area to establish the racks without having to clear any land. So that might be an option. I do know we have some people from Recreation. The Conservation Commission does not have a revolving fund, and I'm glad that you've said that Sharon Recreation runs that. And I've talked to the Recreation Director here in town, and I think she's going to zoom in shortly, and so get an input from the Recreation Department.
Okay, thank you.
Are you there? Can you hear us?
That's Heather.
Is Heather.
Are you talking to me, Bob?
Yes, yes. You're the only one on the screen there.
You were saying Renee, so I was confused. Doesn't take much. Yeah, I just zoomed in case anybody had any questions for me. This is the first that we're hearing about it.
Okay, I talked to Renee earlier, just in passing, and she was very interested in it. But
Okay.
now that we have more details, since Conservation does not have a revolving fund, which would be necessary for this, she thought the Recreation Department would be able to pick up the ball and roll with it.
Okay, how does it work in terms of, maybe I missed it, but do people rent these?
Yes.
They pay for the use of them?
Yes.
Okay, so-
In Sharon, there's they have them 3 levels. Top level is $90 a year. The middle, a little bit easier to handle, $120. And then the bottom rack is, the easiest is $150 per year.
Okay. And so then is that money what is used to pay to build the racks?
I assume so, yes.
I
Okay.
assume so also.
Are Sharons located on conservation or recreation land?
It's on Lake Massapog. I'm not sure what their, if that's recreation land or.
I can actually relay that.
Oh, okay.
That's town property. It's managed by I used to work in Sharon, so I know.
Yes, that's right.
So it's on town property, and it's managed by the rec department. They have a whole kind of organization, kind of procedure and everything that's online, which is amazing. And it took some time for them to get it going, but once they did, it's really, opened the door for them. And like Christina said, it's like, once they open it up for business, it's sold out the next day. So, it takes a little bit of time and effort to set it up and getting the racks in place. It might be good just to start with one rack and then, move towards it. Also, you'd have to figure out, because Sharon obviously has that large parking lot that they have for the beach access already. So that actually helps them out. And then they have the community center building, which they have racks at as well. So, they have locations with sufficient parking. So that's kind of where, the town of Foxboro would need to figure out where they have sufficient parking, enough at least to, facilitate, however many people are going to be potentially using those or servicing those racks. So if you have 8 people for a rack, you need to basically have 8 people to be able to service those. Yeah.
Okay.
Something new this year is that they're allowing 2, they call them vessels, so it's a kayak or a canoe in one slot per family. Okay. So previously it was 1 vessel in each slot. So if you have 2 and you have 3 It holds quite a few. That's 18
Oh, okay.
that you could use.
So that's even more parking that you would need.
Well, presumably, each family would come in one car.
Right, right.
Theoretically, yeah.
And they,
Not a,
You would think that would be the case, but I would plan ahead accordingly.
and they also do charge for a parking permit, the town of Sharon.
Yeah, they do.
No, they've always done that.
Yep.
Yep. And I
have
did get
they-
a copy, and I didn't send it to you in the email because I just received it. But it's the indemnification form that they
Oh,
have people
okay, because
sign.
that was one of the questions that I had, but I was going to let Rec dig into that. So, okay, there is a,
I have a copy for you.
okay, fantastic, thank you.
Do you know if they've had any trouble with vandalism or?
No.
The racks.
Well, I asked about repairs down the line, and if they had any, because they do put
They're pretty big posts and,
locks
locks, yeah, the
on their.
cable locks, yeah.
Yes, to say, that's the individual's responsibility.
They have security cameras, just so
Oh,
that
do
way
they?
everybody's aware, yeah.
which we wouldn't, yeah. I think Kersey is probably a good spot.
Yeah,
It's,
because you could put them there without
Yeah.
taking any brush down or
We
anything.
lack the land, yeah, we lack the available space at Edwards.
Yeah,
You could-
Plus Edwards is wide open to anybody coming by and taking the whole thing. I mean, there's only one house nearby that
Yeah.
has a view of that area.
yeah,
You'd want access within 75 feet of the water.
yeah, Kersey Point would give you that.
Yeah.
Heather, do you have any other questions for us?
No, and I apologize. I'm zoomed in because I don't even know if you can hear me. I'm sick, but I didn't want to miss this. So, Bob, I love a good collaboration. So if you want to send me whatever information you have, and I can then discuss it with, like Mark and my board, and we can get back in touch with you, because we could possibly run like the program, but we don't have anything to do with that land. And I know it's town owned, it's all town owned, but because you guys control the land, I think you'd have to come up with the policies and stuff, and maybe we would just do the legwork. I'm not sure how that would all fit together.
All right, we can work together on that. And
Sure.
I'll get this, I can leave it here tonight. If you swing by tomorrow and pick it up from Diana?
Yep, I can do that.
Okay.
And then I'll get together with you, and then I can put it on the agenda, maybe for a future rec board meeting, and bring it to my board and see what their thoughts are on it.
All right, fantastic.
Does that
Thank-
work? I mean, do you need
Yep.
anything else from me right now?
No, I think that'll do it.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. I did want to bring up one last point, is that when you go to get, register, you obtain the permit, they give you stickers that go actually on the kayak or the canoe.
Okay,
And those can only be, never mailed or anything, they have to be picked up in person with your identification to show that you're a resident of the town.
Do that with the boats too.
Yeah, they do that. They do that for the boats as well, and for the parking passes.
But the boat landing, you could be a non-resident and use it too. You just pay a higher price. So, John, do they have these secured into the ground like they do picnic tables and
So
places?
what I do know is that these apparatuses are not easy to move. They are
yeah.
very large and bulky, and it would probably take you 6 power lifters to move these. So I don't think there are 6 power lifters that are going to take these away, so.
that's without the kayaks on them, right? So
Yeah,
Right, and the kayaks, I think, are all chained to the,
it looks like pipes going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are, yeah. So 4x4s with, yeah.
I guess if somebody wanted to take a chainsaw and dismantle them, they could, but like I said, security cameras could catch them, and having that monitored.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for your interest.
Thank you.
We appreciate.
I think, before we do anything about this in the future, we should talk to the police department, because that area needs, sometimes they patrol, but they don't, we don't have a gate there,
Yep.
so we can't keep people out during the evenings. If somebody wants to take an evening kayak stroll or something like that, someone calls up,
Yeah, but the kayaks are gonna be locked.
if someone wants to take an even midnight swim kayak,
I mean, they can
own.
do that now, right, David? I mean, they can do that now at Kersey if they want.
Yeah, if they want. But Kersey has a history.
Well, I don't know if there's anybody else still on Zoom, any of the NRCC.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know how you tell.
Yeah. Mr. Beck, is there anyone else on Zoom? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So we'll be in touch with you, Christina.
Is that what happens next,
Yes.
Julie?
And
Or the
if you-
rec board will.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. Do we have any comments from the audience, by the way, on this?
We would love that. We're just in sport. We would love to have kayaks. I do have one question.
Could you just come up and use, because we're on cable TV, everybody has to be,
My name is Beth Bayek, and I'm here in support of this. I would love this project to be done. Kirby Road, if that were the location, if this were come to fruition.
I don't know yet, we'll have to.
No,
we'll-
this is supposing.
Yes.
I'm just asking, I'm not familiar with, or I think I'm not familiar with, the depth of the water there. Is it easy to get, is it shallow to enter the water there, or is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
It is? So it would be,
It's actually, in my opinion, it's easier than Edward Road. Edward Road is
Me
like
too.
really mucky, and it's got a little bit of a drop off.
okay, no.
It's more
that-
solid ground.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kirsten.
That was my only question.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We have a request for a minor modification for stormwater at the Revolution Training Facility, 157579. Oh, now we have some people zooming in.
Awesome.
Good evening. Lauren, you're muted, I think.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Great. Hey, everyone. I'm Lauren Gluck from Park Corporation, and also here is Beth Worley from the Craft Group and Brittany Jesner from VHB. And we're here to discuss a proposed minor modification for the Revolution Soccer Training Facility project. So we were previously here in November and December for the partial certificate of compliance and the RFD for the remaining work on the academy field. At the west
Could
side
you
of the
get a
site.
little bit closer to the mic? You're
Oh.
in and
I'm
out.
sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm just turn up my volume a little bit too.
Wait a
Hear my
minute.
screen?
We've got some, oops, okay.
I didn't know if that was on my end or your end. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So at this time, the work on the academy soccer field at the west side of the training facility is in progress. And there has been some grading done here. And at this time, there are some drainage modifications proposed to allow the stormwater management system to operate as it was intended to. So we've submitted some markups of the plans, which show in red the proposed modifications and in blue the former features that are to be modified. And Brittany is here to address in a little more detail about these modifications and why they're being proposed, but I'll give you a brief overview. Essentially, there's two components of the system that are to be revised. So here we have this catch basin 11, is being proposed to be replaced with a flared end section here to allow for proper drainage in the event that the infiltration system fails. So that would involve extending this drainage line slightly, and then instead of having it be a catch basin, have a flared end section that allows any potential overflow of the system in the event of failure to sheet flow towards this wetland here out at the river. The second modification would be eliminating one of the drainage basins, this one on the west side here, which I believe is outside of all jurisdictional areas. During the grading of the site, these basins have already been graded, and it was observed that this one doesn't appear to be draining within 72 hours as it was intended to. So the revision to the drainage system would involve expanding this basin to the north of the field to accommodate the lost volume from eliminating this basin here and just grading this slope since this basin was not functioning properly. In order to accomplish this, the basin would be expanded into the developed or the approved developed portion of the lot rather than toward the resource area. This plan here shows that it will actually eliminate about 12 parking spaces, which is about, I think, 1950 square feet of impervious area to accomplish that. So all of these modifications, oopsie, would, can't see my cursor, would be within the approved development footprint. So some of this work is within riverfront and buffer, but it's the existing disturbed areas that are already approved to be disturbed, and there would not be further encroachment into vegetated areas outside the LOD. So that being said, we've submitted this as a minor modification. If you have any questions specific to the drainage, Brittany would be happy to address those.
John, this is more your expertise.
So overall, this is an overall net benefit because they're removing previously proposed impervious surfaces and creating stormwater feature instead. So ultimately, if you're looking at this from just a top-down kind of perspective, this would work, for being an acceptable use. And their drainage calculations show that being such. So this is more of an administrative kind of modification request because the plans are changing. They're decreasing the amount of impervious surface to compensate for allowing the stormwater to function better than it was previously. Yeah. Did I touch upon it well there? I'm asking VHB.
Perfect.
All right, good.
Thanks. Now I don't have to do anything.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I guess so.
You got one, David?
Yep. Who am I speaking with up there?
Lauren?
Hi, yeah, it's Lauren Gluck from PAR, Brittany from VHB, and Beth from the Craft Group.
What I notice is the road that's coming from the wooden bridge down to these fields, that the elevation is coming down that road, and the low point is 267. But that's going to be dumping the water off short of this retention basin, the modified retention area. Was it intended to do that? All that water coming down that way? I don't think you have curbing on that.
It is intended to do that. There's not much curbing proposed in this entire project. Everything was designed to be low impact development, flow over edge of pavement and stay overland, go through 2 bays and then into the infiltration basins. So that is the intent, that the water would be captured and flow right into these 4 bays.
Okay. Right there.
Okay.
It's all coming down.
Yeah.
Then this is the low point.
Yeah, all right. Anything else? What's the official,
So the commission needs to accept the modification as proposed
okay?
per plan.
All right, I'll move that the commission accept the changes as proposed for 157579.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Now, do we have any signatures on that, or is that,
We're just updating the plan.
okay?
Yeah, for the record. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good evening. Do we have anything else? Do I hear a motion? Oh, by the way, everybody get out and vote tomorrow.
That's right.
Indeed.
Be there bright and early. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you, one and all. Thank you, Mr. Beck.